Mr. President, it's Greg Kelly in New York. Welcome to Newsmax. How are you?
Hi, Greg. How you doing? Okay.
Terrific. We're good up here. New York is a little bit in chaos, as you know. But look,
it's terrible. What's going on in New York is a very sad thing to watch.
So, Mr. President, did you see the New York Post this morning? A major story. They're saying that Joe Biden met with Burisma associates, officials, that Hunter Biden was setting up these meetings. If the story is true, it means that Joe Biden has been lying for a very long time.
Well, they're crooks. They've always been crooks. They're grifters and crooks, and this is what we're running against. And it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Nobody could believe it. It's turned out to be much worse. I give credit to the New York Post. And the mainstream media will try not to pick it up, even though it's a major scandal. But it's a very sad thing when you look at that. Everywhere he goes, his son goes right behind him and grabs money.
So we've got the emails, but you're not going to be able to confront Joe Biden with these emails because you're not debating. You're going to have that town hall with NBC News. You know, they basically got caught rigging the thing for the other side last week, but you're going on the same network.
Yeah, they rigged that thing. That was for a child. That newscast, that town hall, Greg, was for a child. That was for Barron Trump. Okay, the questions they asked Sleepy Joe Biden. But this is serious stuff. You know, this whole thing, the New York Post, they've done great reporting. It's serious stuff. They've got them called, and the news protects them because they're in on the deal, probably.
It's kind of amazing. It is front page story, the New York Post. So far, it's not being widely picked up. That's very interesting. By the way, we've got a documentary tonight about Joe Biden. It's called Bad Decisions. You can watch it here on Newsmax at 9.
I'll be watching that.
All right.
I'll be watching.
We'll have it right after.
Your network is doing really well. You're holding my rallies. You're getting big ratings. It's great.
That's true. Your rallies are, look, they're informative, they're entertaining. And I noticed something about you. Your fans are noticing something, that you seem to have an extra pep in your step. I mean, we saw the dancing. You said you felt 20 years younger. Getting over COVID, going through that, did that change you in any way?
Well, you know, we've come up with great therapeutics and cures and all sorts of things. 85% mortality rate, you know, when you think of that, 90%. But we've come up with things that are amazing. The job we've done has been incredible. And now the vaccines are coming out. We're rounding the turn. But most people, 99-point-something%, if you get it, you get better. I got better. But I also had the help of a drug, Regeneron, which I think probably helped. I mean, who knows, right? But all I know is I got better very quickly, and I feel very good. I mean, really good, totally negative. And, I guess you have immunity for a certain period of time, too. It used to be for life until I got it. Now, when I get it, they say it's only 4 months. You know, in other words, it was somebody else that said it was for life. But I have immunity, I guess. So you're immune to this terrible disease sent to us by China.
Well, speaking about immunity, we got a number of officials apparently who will not be getting indicted. The Bill Barr probe, we're hearing reports that there will be no indictments in the unmasking probe. You expressed frustration with Bill Barr and the progress last week. How do you feel about apparently, again, in the unmasking situation, no one's going to be indicted?
Personally, I think it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's a disgrace. I think it's really a horrible thing that they're allowed to get away. Now, when they say no indictment, they actually said no indictments before the election. But I had to go through elections with all those clouds over my head. But they don't, because the Republicans are so nice. So personally, I think it's too bad. I think it's too bad. They're guilty as hell.
Too bad. But, Bill Barr in the conservative world, a lot of supporters, they like what he's doing. They like his stance. How do you feel about Bill Barr in a term 2, second Trump term, if, in fact, you get elected, which I think will happen? But Bill Barr, will he be around in a second term?
I have no comment. Can't comment on it. It's too early.
Too early.
I'm not happy with all of the evidence I had. I can tell you that. I'm not happy.
Want to talk a little bit about the debate. Look, some of your supporters thought that you possibly interrupted a little bit too much, that if Joe got to talk a little bit more, he might have shown himself to be not very good, not very sharp. Is a second debate, I know we're not debating this week, it got shut down, they caught the moderator. Any chance of a showdown between you and Joe before the end of election? Are those conversations happening?
Yeah, I think so, but the problem is the anchors are all crooked. Now we have Kristen Welker. She's a disaster. She's a never-Trumper from NBC. All of NBC is never-Trump. That's Comcast, and they're all never-Trump, and they're bad news. That's MSDNC, and they're just bad news. But my debate, I did well. Everyone thought I won the debate easily. And then 2 days later, they're saying I interrupted. But the truth is I had to interrupt because he was spewing all lies. So everything he said was a lie. And what I do is I'd say, that's not true. That's not true. And, because he was saying a lot of things and they were lies. But the fact is that Chris Wallace, who's totally third rate, he kept saving the guy. When I said about, as an example, Greg, and by the way, say hello to your parents and everybody, what great genes you have, okay?
Okay. And
congratulations on your show, which is doing fantastically. I do your show even if it was doing lousy, but it's doing great. Okay, I get a little check anyway. I always like check. How's he doing, Greg? Because we've been together a lot, and you're a fantastic young guy, and we really appreciate it.
Well, we've had
Hey, with what's going on in New York, it's so sad, Greg. It's so sad how they've ruined that place.
The situation is rough out there. The show, thank you, by the way. We have improved exponentially in the ratings. And by the way, Andrew Cuomo is out there dropping your name, saying that you tried to extort him. He's very critical of you in his new book. I do remember, though, that you gave him not only a hospital ship that he did not use, set up that center at the Javits Center, basically a hospital facility that he did not use. And as you know, he's come under immense and I think well-deserved criticism for sending all of those elderly patients back into nursing homes when they were already COVID positive.
He did a very poor job, and a very sad thing. Thousands and thousands of people died unnecessarily, #1 in our nation. And then he wrote a book. I guess it's a negative book. I don't know. Who the hell's going to read it? But I guess he wrote a book, and it's a negative. I mean, we gave him hospital. We gave him the Javits Center. He could have put those patients, and they never even used them. I mean, he actually hardly used them. And we spent a lot of money helping him, and he's very unappreciative. He's a thug, and he's very unappreciative. And it's one of those things. They run New York. That's why people are leaving New York, because of people like him. He's a thug. He's a bully thug. And people don't need it because you have a lot of alternatives, like Florida, where everyone's leaving for Florida. And it's too bad because New York, it's always my place. It's great. But you can't have thugs running it. And you got a lot of, he's got prosecutors all over the place. He uses them to his gain. And he should be prosecuted, frankly, for what he's done. So it's a very sad thing that's happening in New York. When I see it going on, it's, because I love New York.
Yeah, no, it's the quality of life is in a downward spiral. By the way, during the debate,
it happened so fast. I mean, it was happening from De Blasio, let's face it, and Cuomo, but it's happened so fast. I mean, all of a sudden, it's like just it was like a crash. It didn't happen overnight. This was going on for a long time, but then it just crashed. It's incredible, actually.
During the debate, you were asked about the racial training, sensitivity training that's taking place or was taking place in federal agencies. You didn't like it. You issued an executive order. My question to you...
Very important that you say was taking place, right? Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If somebody is undergoing that kind of training in the private sector, could you make the case, or do you think somebody could make the case that that contributes to a hostile work environment and perhaps they might have a case to sue?
Sure. It's racist. It's incredible how horrible it is. They teach you to hate our country. It's bad for our country. And it's a total race-baiting deal, and it's a shame. And I stopped it in the federal government. And I did a step further. Anybody that does it is not allowed to do business with the federal government. That's not bad.
You know, the media have been repeating or allowing Joe Biden to repeat this whole issue about Charlottesville. You came out very strongly. I heard you say it out loud that you think that white supremacists and neo-Nazis should be condemned. But Joe Biden has based his entire campaign on the idea that you didn't say that. And the media, there are people in the media, well-informed people, who do not know that you said that second part of that statement. I find that incredible.
Know it, but the media is more corrupt than Biden, and Biden's very corrupt. He's always been corrupt. Everybody knew he was corrupt, but now we caught him very, cold. But look what he did to General Flynn, right, with the Logan Act. No, Biden is a corrupt person, but the media is more corrupt because they don't bring it up. As an example, when we talked Charlottesville, I gave a perfect statement, but they cut off the end of the statement where I talked about that. But you know what? I'm really against Antifa. I'm against the radical left. The radical left are the ones burning down our cities. They're burning down our Democrat-run, stupidly run cities, Greg. The radical left, Antifa. And I'm very much opposed to them. And for some reason, they're guarded by the liberals. I don't know why, but it's not happening much anymore because we're finding a lot of things. But the radical left, Antifa, and those, you look at Portland, this is all Antifa and the radical left.
So the headlines, by the way, in October 2020 regarding the polls, they read a lot like they do in October 2016, that you're going to lose this election. It's deja vu all over again, as they say. A lot of us are confident in how you will do on the merits, but voter fraud, I know, is a big concern of yours. I don't hear too much about what you will do in the aftermath of November 3rd. Are you lawyered up? Do you have teams to fight this thing?
I am. It's a crooked deal. It's a rigged deal. You see it every day. New ballots are coming out that are thrown in garbage cans with the name Trump on it. You see it every day. And when you bring it up, they say, oh, he's against our Constitution. He's against our freedom. No, they're against our freedom. But it's very rigged. Many, many ballots. Didn't they just pick up 50,000 in Ohio and all over the place? Now, with all of that being said, when I do a rally, like I think we had 41,000 people the other night in Florida, right, on one-day notice. Last night in Pennsylvania, we had 20,000 people, one-day notice. Biden goes out, he's got 20 people, literally 20 people. They have nobody. And then I say, always tied in the polls. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But I had the same thing 4 years ago. You're a witness to it, where I was down in all 9 states, swing states, and I won every one of them, right? Because the media is corrupt. If I've done nothing else, it's I've convinced people how corrupt the media is, and I'm not including you. And by the way, I'm including 90% of the media, okay? It's totally corrupt. And you know that better than anybody, in all fairness. But, you probably can't get involved because you want to get a job someday someplace else.
Well, actually, you know what? I'll tell you this about the media, because and a lot of them right now would be rolling their eyes. Oh, how dare he? But here's what we've had over the past 2 weeks. Joe Biden has been on a national stage. They have repeated lies about Charlottesville. They've let him get away with that. And they can't pin him down on a very simple question about packing the court. That's a pretty easy one. He basically has avoided being asked, and when he is asked, he's able to deflect.
They had the rogue reporter, and now he's getting fired, I understand. The rogue reporter that was, pressing him a little bit. The guy who was standing about 2,000 feet away, and he was shouting the question. No, the whole thing is corrupt. The other one is fracking. So Biden goes for a year and a half, say there's no fracking, no fracking. Then he gets the nomination, goes into Pennsylvania, and he says there's going to be fracking. And the media doesn't cover it. They won't talk about it, Greg. It's a terrible thing.
Where are you right now, Mr. President? We'd love to see you in person, but are you in the White House, or where in the White House are you?
I'm in the beautiful White House overlooking the Great Lawn, looking at and speaking to a friend of mine, a great guy whose father was one of the great police commissioners ever. Whose father got, let's say, because he never gets taken advantage of, but whose father was not treated right by Bloomberg, by Mini Mike. His father, your father should have been mayor. and he was not treated right. We would have had your father instead of de Blasio. You would have had a whole different ballgame. But Mini Mike didn't treat him well.
Well, listen.
Mini Mike, as usual, was disloyal.
I do think my father would have been.
Did anybody make a fool of himself more than Mini Mike? Did anybody on the debate stage? I said, not easy up there, Mike, is it, huh?
Yeah, it was a one-shot deal by Elizabeth Warren. I mean, that was wild. And you pointed out, I have a feeling that drives Mike a little bit crazy. Hey, actually, term 2. Let's just talk real quick. And I know we got an election first. Anybody you're thinking of for a successor? I mean, look, you don't get to appoint your successor, obviously, but it's something.
No, it's too early to get into it. There are so many great people. And by the way, Mike Pence is doing a great job. But it's just too early to get into that whole thing. I mean, right now we want to see. I do have long coattails. You know, when I endorse somebody, they win. They really win for the most part. It's like incredible. And I think we're going to take back the House. I think we're going to win our race. Look, how can you vote for Joe? Joe is shot. I say it openly. He's shot. He's 50%, and when he was 100%, he was a dumb guy. And now he's 50%. And he can't put two sentences together. And the only thing that he's got a party of, killers. And the party is, they're going to replace him very quickly because he can't possibly do this job. I know this job very well. I deal with the toughest, sharpest people in the world. Joe Biden has to be in that category. He can't be. His mind is blown.
All right, we got to let you go in a moment, but real quick, I know you've talked to the social media execs, Jack Dorsey, Zuckerberg, but a lot of us feel like we're still being censored on social media platforms.
Now you are, and we're doing things about it. And the easiest thing to do is get rid of Section 230. And when the politicians get the guts, that's what they'll do. You take out Section 230. But I have to tell you, look, I just tell you this. I'd like to finish with this. So a Republican doesn't win New York. We get 38% of the vote and such. In theory, you can't. Vote for Trump, New York. You'll have low energy costs. Your taxes will be cut in half. You are being mismanaged into oblivion. You're all going to have to leave because you can't stay there. Taxes are too high. Energy costs are too high. You know that Cuomo's not letting us build a pipeline to the East Coast. If he did that, your energy costs would go down by 50%. But he doesn't want to do it for environmental grounds because Bobby Kennedy is his boss. People don't realize that Bobby Kennedy Jr. is his boss. But I say vote for Trump.
Hey.
Your taxes will go down. Your standard of living will go to a level. Vote for Trump.
Mr. President.
And the Second Amendment will be protected. All of these things. And, it's sort of an automatic loss for a Republican. And it's a shame because New York is one of the worst-run states in the country, probably the worst-run state in the country. Vote for Trump. You have nothing to lose. I said that to the African Americans, and they agreed. And they do.
Yeah, Candace Owens.
Vote for Trump.
Candace Owens.
What the hell do you have to lose?
She told us the other night that you might get 20% of the African American vote. Finally, this. The night you won the presidency, I remember this well. You said that you would be the president for all the people. Now, let's face it. You got a lot of support. People love you. They chant, "We love you." But you got the haters out there. Have you thought about what you would do in term 2 to reach out to? I'm not talking about Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, but people in America who oppose you, who might be open. Is there something you could do to bring them on board?
Yeah, there is, Greg. When we have success, I'll tell you, it was happening. It was there. I told this to somebody the other day. I was getting calls from Democrats and worse than Democrats that wanted to make deals. They wanted to come together. And then we had the China plague came in. We had the best black and Hispanic and everything, unemployment, Asian, everything, women. We had the best numbers we've ever had. By the way, the stock market's ready to hit new highs again. Can you believe it? In the middle of a pandemic. We're rounding the turn. But it was ready to come back, and then we got hit by the China plague, and we have to start over. And now what we're doing is building it back stronger than it would have been, actually stronger. But success is going to bring it all back, and there'll be unity. You watch.
Mr. President, it's great to talk to you. Please come back. Good luck out there, and stay safe, and we really appreciate it, Mr. President.
And say hello to those two great people that I think are incredible people. And tell your father he should have been the mayor of New York.
You got it.
At least I wanted him. I'll tell you that right there.
No.
Mini Mike was a disaster. He doesn't have a clue, that poor bastard. Have a good time. So long, Greg.
You bet, Mr. President. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Newsmax TV is now America's fastest growing cable news channel. We give you the real news you need. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Newsmax TV streams live on YouTube for free. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.